All right, so as promised, what is the resale value of a 3-year-old trailer, vans, reefers, and flatbeds? So in today's video, we're gonna go over the Ritchie Brothers auctions and see what 3-year-old trailers sold for. This is a great indication on how our market is doing. But let's get into these dry vans and see how our market is doing. Here we are, here's the results. Now I only wanna see things that were sold in June of 2024, so I don't wanna see anything that is older than June of 2024. So let's get to it. We have 2022 Wabash that sold for $27,000. I mean, that's a 2-year-old trailer. Company name is Gilson. You can see the stickers. I don't know if they went out of business or who they are, but here they are selling their 2-year-old dry vans. These ones were sold in California. So you see here, one had sold for $27,000, another sold for $28,000, then you have another one that sold for $27,000. So here you have a 2022 Vanguard 53-footer that sold for $12,000. Holy, how in the world did that happen? Here's another one that sold $11,500. Then you have a few more here that sold for $13,500, $20,000, and $11,500. So can you get a steal these days? Absolutely, you can get a steal. Now, I don't know what condition these trailers were in, but you can see that one sold here for $20,000 and the same Vanguard sold for $11,500. So obviously the condition is a little bit different, but still, if you're getting a $20,000 trailer, that is a steal. That's a $49,000 trailer. No, Vanguards are even a little bit more expensive. You're probably looking at $52,000 or $53,000 right now. So here's a couple of Holland trailers. So these ones sold in Minnesota. Here's a 2022 Wabash 53-foot that sold for $25,000. This was in Northeast Maryland. Another one that in Pennsylvania you see here, that's a 53-footer, sold for $13,000. Wow, this is unreal. Let's keep going. New Pen. Look at that, 2021 Vanguard sold for $9,500. Yellow, $12,500. Another one, $13,000. Here's three more, $9,750, $10,000, and another $11,500. This is honestly pocket change. I mean, these are $50,000 trailers that are being sold for $10,000, $11,000, $12,000, $13,000. Look at this, 1, 2, 3 trailers. 22 Vanguard. Sold for $13,000, $11,500. Like, who in the world? Stoughton 53-footer sold for $25,000. Finally, a normal price. Here's another Hyundai 2022 sold for $26,000. Then you have a Holland. I mean, there's a ton of trailers here that are being sold for cents on a dollar. So what does this mean about our industry? Our industry has not yet recovered and is nowhere near recovering. If the freight rates were a lot better and there weren't so much assets and capacity available for sale, these would be selling for much higher prices. So yeah, I think that's enough for the dry van division. Again, if you're shopping for a 2021 or 2022, I mean, you go to the dealerships right now, they're probably selling it for close to about $30,000, $28,000. You could pick up one of them. You can really find yourself a steal as long as you take your time to find that steal. All right, so let's start with the reefers. So today, a brand new reefer with a Thermo King or a Carrier will probably cost you anywhere between $99,000 to about $105,000 is the range that I see. The prices have come down on brand new units, but not significantly. Now, let's look at 2021 models that sold at the Ritchie Brothers auctions. Now, this is a 3-year-old trailer, and you can see here that they're selling, one of them sold for $36,000. Now you have a 2022 Wabash with a Thermo King on it. You see that one sold for $61,000. Then you have another Wabash that sold for $55,000. So this is literally 50% off on a 2-year-old model. Instead of 2024, they are 2022s. And you got a lot of them here, okay? Another one sold for $60,000, then you have another one sold for $73,000. Now the difference between them is the amount of hours that they have. So you can see here that this lot number 5018 sold for $73,000. Why did it sell for so much? Because it's a 2022 and it only has 654 hours on it, which is like a brand new reefer. Here on the right hand side, you can see the exact same Great Dane sold for $64,000. Now, what's the difference between the first one and the second one? Why did this one sell for almost $10,000 less? It's because the hours. So one had 9,900 hours and the other one had 654 hours. Now, let's keep going down. So you can see here the Wabash sold for $49,000. Another one sold for $42,000. Here's CIMC. I don't know what that is. Wabash Great Dane. $50,000 Great Dane, 5,000 hours. Another one here, $56,000. So I would say, I mean, it looks like probably 50% off. You know, for $50,000 to $55,000, you can find yourself a 2-year-old reefer unit. Now, with freight rates being for national average right now in June for the reefer units are $2.42 per mile. So at $2.42 and buying this kind of equipment, you can definitely be profitable in the reefer division. Okay, so here's a lot more. I mean, there's a few more here, 76, 56, 59. You obviously need to go to these auctions, probably need to inspect them, go in there with the mechanic, see the condition of the reefer, see the condition of the tires, brakes, drums. But again, not a lot can go wrong with a 2-year-old trailer. You want to make sure that that reefer is working, and you want to make sure that the amount of hours, the lower it is, the better it is for you. So there's a company that I see is selling a lot of their equipment. It's a company called Gilson with the pictures on the side. Both in the dry vans and the reefers, there's a lot of equipment there. But look at this, $50,000. I mean, this is a 2-year-old unit. You cannot go wrong with that. That's literally 50% off. Now you can drive this baby probably for 2 or 3 years and still get about $40,000 for it over the next 3 years. So we did the vans, we did the reefers. Now let's quickly check up on the flatbeds. Currently right now, also sitting at around probably $65,000, $70,000. You should be able to find yourself a 53-footer or a 48-footer. Here they are. So you can see here 2022s are selling for $25,000, $31,000, and $37,000. I believe these are 48-footers. I'm going to look and try to see if they have any of the 53-footers. But so here's a 2022 Mack 48-footer sold for $42,000. Then you have another Rattenauer for $27,000. 3-year-old trailers literally selling for 1/3 of the price. So I see that the prices fall more on the flatbeds, 50% in the vans, probably 50% in the reefers. But I see here that it's 1/3 of the price for the flatbeds. 53-footer 2020 Rattenauer, 53-footer sold for $42,000. See if there's any more 53-footers. Yes. So here's another one that sold for $41,000. So definitely the 53-footer is holding a lot more value. 2022 sold for $26,000. Is cheap. Makes me want to go out and buy some. A lot of people are wondering, where do we here at ET Transport order our Conestoga Roll-Tites? Well, we here at ET Transport order our Roll-Tites from Verdun Tarps. Why do we purchase them from Verdun Tarps? Because they have a location both here in Canada and in the US. Now, another thing is they're extremely driver friendly and easy to use. They have 102 wide clearance inside. So yes, I can book freight that's 102 wide and I can still get that Roll-Tite to close. So Verdun Tarps has agreed to give our audience a discount. Just mention our name when you're reaching out to them. Well, there you have it. You have the used market and you know what the value of a used 2 or 3-year-old piece of equipment is, both for the vans, the reefers, and the flatbeds. I'm Ronen, and I'll catch you in my next video.